Welcome explorers to a world so tiny yet so massive in its wonders. Right now you're standing at the edge of the ant empire. Look at these little guys go. Thousands, sometimes millions of ants working together like a perfectly choreographed dance. It's chaos, but it's organized chaos. And today we're diving deep into their secret world to uncover how these pint-sized creatures build societies that rival our own. So grab your magnifying glass and let's get started. Here's a question to kick things off. If you were an ant, what job would you want in the colony? Would you be a fearless soldier, a tireless worker, or maybe the queen herself? Drop your answer in the comments below and stick with me as we unravel the magic of how ants talk, teamwork, and think like a single brilliant mind. Trust me, by the end of this, you'll never look at an ant the same way again. Let's set the scene. Imagine a city where every citizen knows their role, where traffic flows without a single jam, and where everyone works for the greater good. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, ants have been doing this for millions of years. There are over 12,000 species of ants on Earth, from the leafcutter ants of South America to the fire ants of your backyard. Some colonies have just a few dozen ants, while others, they're megacities with millions of residents. But here's what blows my mind. These creatures are tiny. A single ant weighs less than a grain of sugar. Yet, together, they can lift objects hundreds of times their weight, build sprawling underground cities, and even farm their own food. So, how do they do it? How do these little specks of life create empires that rival human civilizations? That's the big question we're tackling today. How do ants, creatures with brains smaller than a pinhead, manage to create societies so complex, so efficient, that they've outlasted dinosaurs and thrived on every continent except Antarctica? Spoiler alert, it's all about communication, cooperation, and a little something called collective intelligence. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty, let's talk about the glue that holds this empire together. Communication. Let's start with how ants talk. Now, ants don't have vocal cords or Zoom meetings. They don't even have ears. So how do they send messages across their colony? The answer lies in something invisible but incredibly powerful: pheromones. Pheromones are like the ants' secret language. They're chemical signals that ants release from their bodies, leaving a scent trail wherever they go. Imagine you're hiking and you drop a trail of glitter to mark your path. That's what pheromones do for ants. When an ant finds a juicy piece of fruit, it'll scurry back to the nest, leaving a pheromone trail that says, "Hey guys, jackpot over here." Other ants smell it, follow the trail, and boom, a food delivery service is born. But here's where it gets wild. Pheromones aren't just for food. Ants use different types of pheromones for different messages. There's a follow me pheromone for leading workers to a new nest site. There's a danger pheromone that screams intruder alert when a predator shows up. And get this, there's even a pheromone that says, "I'm dead. Please clean me up." Yep, ants have a whole chemical dictionary. Let's break it down. Trail pheromones are like GPS for food or new homes. Alarm pheromones are the colony's panic button, rallying soldier ants to defend the nest. Nest pheromones help ants recognize their home and their family. Because, believe it or not, ants can tell if another ant is from a rival colony. And death pheromones? They trigger a cleanup crew to remove dead ants, keeping the colony spotless. It's like every ant is a tiny chemist, mixing up the perfect scent to keep the empire running smoothly. But pheromones aren't the only way ants communicate. They also touch. When two ants meet, they'll often tap their antennae together in a kind of ant handshake. This lets them share chemical cues, confirm they're from the same colony, or even pass along tiny bits of food. It's like saying, "Hey, good to see you, here's a snack." Okay, audience, let's have some fun. Imagine you could only communicate with smells or touches. No words, no texts. What kind of smell would you use to say, "Let's grab pizza"? Or how would you tap someone to say, "Danger, run"? Drop your creative ideas in the comments, I'm dying to hear them. And while you're thinking, let's move on to how ants turn all this communication into action with their incredible division of labor. Picture this. A city where every job is perfectly assigned and nobody slacks off. That's an ant colony. Every ant has a role, and together they create a machine so efficient it puts our rush hour commutes to shame. This is the division of labor. and it's the backbone of the ant empire. Let's meet the stars of the colony. First up, the queen. She's the heart of the empire, laying thousands of eggs to keep the colony growing. Fun fact, some queens can live for decades, outlasting most other insects. But don't think she's bossing everyone around. She's more like a supermom, focused on egg laying while others run the show. Next, the worker ants. These are the colony's all-purpose heroes. They forage for food, build tunnels, care for the queen's eggs, and even take out the trash. Workers are the ultimate multitaskers, and they're all female, by the way. Talk about girl power. Then we have the soldier ants. These guys are the colony's bodyguards with jaws so big they can't even feed themselves. Their job: protect the nest at all costs. If a spider or rival ant shows up, soldiers charge in, ready to fight to the death. And finally, the males. Their role is, well, pretty short-lived. They exist to mate with new queens and then, poof, they're gone. What's amazing is how these roles work together. Workers talk to soldiers with pheromones to coordinate defense. Soldiers rely on workers to feed them, since their jaws are too big for eating. And the queen? She's the glue, producing the next generation while the colony keeps her safe. It's like a symphony, with every ant playing their part in perfect harmony. But here's a cool twist. Ants aren't locked into one job forever. If the colony needs more workers or soldiers, some ants can switch roles. It's like if your barista suddenly became a firefighter because the town needed one. This flexibility is key to the colony's survival, and it all comes back to communication. Those pheromones and touches keep everyone on the same page. Okay, time for another question. If you were designing an ant colony, what new role would you add? Maybe a party planner ant to keep morale high, or a scout ant to explore new territories? Get creative and share your ideas in the comments. Now let's zoom out and look at how all these individual ants combine to create something truly mind-blowing: collective intelligence. All right, buckle up, because this is where things get really wild. Ants aren't just good at their jobs, they're geniuses when they work together. This is called collective intelligence, and it's what happens when thousands of tiny brains combine to act like one super smart mind. Let's see it in action. Imagine a colony needs food. Worker ants fan out, each taking a slightly different path. When one finds a cookie crumb, it lays a pheromone trail back to the nest. Other ants follow, reinforcing the trail with their own pheromones. If a shorter path is found, more ants take it, and the longer trails fade away. In no time, the colony has mapped the optimal route to the food. It's like Google Maps, but with ants. Or take this. Ants can solve problems we humans need computers for. Scientists have watched ant colonies figure out the fastest way to move through complex terrains, defend their nests from invaders, and even build living structures. Ever seen ants form a raft with their bodies to float across water, or a bridge to cross a gap? That's collective intelligence at work. No single ant knows the plan, but together they're unstoppable. And here's where it gets real-world cool. Scientists are studying ant colonies to build swarm robotics. Think drones or robots that work together like ants to solve problems. Imagine a fleet of tiny robots cleaning up an oil spill or exploring Mars, all coordinating without a central leader, just like an ant colony. Even computer algorithms, like those used in delivery routes or internet traffic, are inspired by ants. So, next time you get a package on time, thank an ant. This is the power of the swarm. No bosses, no blueprints, just simple rules and communication creating jaw-dropping results. Each ant follows basic instincts: lay pheromones, follow trails, help your neighbor. But together, they achieve feats that seem almost magical. So let's get you thinking. If you could harness the power of collective intelligence, what would you use it for? Cleaning your house with a swarm of tiny robots? Solving world hunger? Or maybe just organizing your group project so everyone actually does their part? Drop your big ideas in the comments, and let's keep exploring what these tiny ants can teach us. We've journeyed deep into the ant empire, and what we've found is nothing short of incredible. These tiny creatures, with their pheromones, teamwork, and collective intelligence, have shown us what's possible when a society works as one. But as we wrap up, let's ask, what can we learn from ants? First, cooperation. Ants don't compete for glory, they work for the colony. Every role, from the queen to the lowliest worker, matters. Imagine if we humans leaned into that kind of teamwork. supporting each other to achieve something bigger than ourselves. Second is specialization. Ants thrive because every member has a job they're good at. In our world, that could mean embracing our unique strengths and trusting others to do the same. A colony doesn't need every ant to be a soldier, it needs the right mix of skills to succeed. And finally, resilience. Ant colonies face floods, predators, and food shortages, yet they adapt and rebuild. They don't give up, and neither should we. Whether it's tackling climate change or just getting through a tough day, ants remind us that persistence and adaptability are key. The ant empire isn't just a marvel of nature, it's a mirror. It shows us what's possible when we communicate clearly, work together, and think as a collective. So next time you see an ant marching along your sidewalk, don't just step over it. Pause, watch, and maybe, just maybe, let it inspire you to be a little more ant-like. One final question for you explorers. What's one lesson from ants you're going to take into your life? Cooperation? Resilience? Or something else? Share it in the comments, and let's build our own colony of ideas down there. If you loved this dive into the ant empire, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep marveling at the wonders of our world.